Michigan's short track racing authority is Horsepower Happenings.
Charlie Bauer, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Scotty Thiel, welcome to Horsepower Happenings.
John Beach, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Adam Terry, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Paul Pelletier,
Corbin Hazlett, Riley Knoll,
Matt Kemp, Dylan Stovall, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
From pavement to dirt, modifieds to sprint cars, hear from drivers, promoters, track owners, and many other industry leaders.
We worked on that car for 12 days straight, and when I got to the speedway Saturday, I was out of gas. I had to take a nap.
You're out there and, you know, that groove, if you're outside of it, you could be a couple tenths off or even half a second off.
It is not a shock that you've won all these races. You know what I mean? There's so many pieces to the puzzle to make these cars go fast.
I don't care what he says. I saw a thing on Facebook on somebody's post that's now been deleted that one of his crew guys said that the spotter told him car low and I wrecked him.
With over 50 years of experience from racing to management, here are Zach Heiser and Rich France.
Welcome into Horsepower Happenings. Happy Monday. Big show coming up for you tonight. We'll talk with Davey Hamilton Jr., Kelsey Ivy, and we've got Gary Did You Know all coming up tonight. But first, here's some things that are happening in a Mark News Minute. NASCAR from Daytona. We'll dive into this a little deeper coming up. Chandler Smith gets the win in the trucks over Gio Ruggiero. Christian Eckes, Ty Majeski, and Mr. Nemechek. A lot of late model names in there. We'll talk to Rich about that. In the O'Reilly Series on Saturday, Austin Hill, Justin Allgaier, Ryan Siege, Jordan Anderson, Sammy Smith, your top five. Also on Saturday, the ARCA Menard Series, Gio Ruggiero got the win there. And in the Cup side of things, Tyler Reddick, Stenhouse, Logano, Elliott, and Keselowski, your top five. Brandon Shepard tops the Dirt Car Nationals finale at Volusia. Nick Hoffman earned the Big Gator Championship with the Dirt Car Nationals title. Justin Grant won the finale at Ocala on Saturday night with the USAC Sprint Cars, his first win of the season. And the World Series from New Smyrna, 10 days wrapped up and finished on Saturday. Your champions were Ronnie Williams in the Tour Mods, Spencer Davis in the Super Late Models, Vito Cancilla in the Pros. And how about Paulie Hartwig III? I'm a new fan. I like watching that kid race. He is the New Smyrna champion in 602s. Those things and so much more happening tonight on Horsepower Happenings. Good evening. Welcome in. I'm Zach Heiser. Rich France joins me from across the way. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm great after a week of pavement race, and Paulie Hartwig won the Tour Mods. You see that?
Man. So I watched Paulie on Monday night and saw him go to Victory Lane. I think it was Monday night or Sunday night, and saw him go to Victory Lane in the 602s, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. That kid did all right. And what a show that he put on in that Tour Modified event on Monday or Wednesday, whenever it was. That was really awesome.
Late race restart. He had to hold off one of the best in Patrick Emmerling. And I think, and they had the video down on his dad, Paulie Hartwig II, who, retired at the end of last year, at the end of the World Series last year in a very emotional way on the front stretch.
Yes.
On the podium. And boy, him and his wife, Paulie's mom, were just going crazy on that restart on the last laps, and he held him off. Emmerling really had nothing for him.
It was a great show. It was a lot of fun to watch, and that's what the World Series is all about. So we'll dive into that more coming up in just a moment. First, got to start the show off, Rich, with a couple of RIPs and some sad news come out yesterday and kind of surprised everybody in my neck of the woods, Rich. Long-time Butler Motor Speedway racer, a guy that I actually raced against for a few years. Terry Bumpus passed away yesterday in his 60s. It was kind of a shock to everybody, I think, that wasn't super close with him. And so that was big. Terry was a long-time street stock competitor. And, Rich, you know how it is when you've raced at a track for a long time. I mean, he ran there from the 90s, 2000s, into the 10s. It didn't matter what the rules were. He was building a car to come race at Butler Motor Speedway. So, our thoughts are with the Bumpus family. And then, Rich, a little tongue-in-cheek here. Rest in peace to Daytona 500 winning crew chief Harry Hogg, of course, portrayed in the movie Days of Thunder by Robert Duvall. I think all the Days of Thunder fans today are a little sad to hear that news. So, tough way to start the show, Rich, on a Monday.
Yeah, we don't like doing this. We've been able to not do this for about a month or so now.
I know.
But it's just a shame. But, hey, on the bright side, I don't have a bunch of snow in my front yard anymore.
That's true.
Is that any better?
Beautiful day today.
Change the subject.
I got the Great Lakes Super Sprint show car out of the shed today and got it ready to take up to get further ready for Autorama coming up here in just a couple of weeks. But let's go back to yesterday, Rich. Let's talk Daytona. I know that you and I are going to be on opposite ends of the spectrum. I want to start with Friday, though, and I posted about this on the Mark News Facebook page, Michigan Area Racing Connection, and I thought it was very interesting. Friday with the Truck Series, Rich, I don't know if you saw that race or not, was a very clean race for the Truck Series, especially with what we've come to know from Daytona. And I thought to myself, and it's probably my fault that the rest of the weekend unraveled the way that it did the change in championship format change the way that those guys raced on Friday night? Because it was very clean from start to finish. Really, the only cautions you had were some single car incidents and a couple of crashes, but no big one on Friday night in the Truck Series, Rich.
No, and the trucks handled than either one, totally different than either one, of the O'Reilly cars or the Cup cars. And,
right.
And I think that made a lot of difference. The trucks, that was a great way to start it out.
That was the top, right? That was the best it was going to be all week.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the best it was all weekend. I mean, the ARCA Menard Series race wasn't even as bad as it usually is, to be honest with you.
No, Saturday afternoon was great.
Yeah, and Gio Ruggiero picked up the win in the Menard Series race, and that wasn't a terrible one. I don't think they had a big one in the Menard Series race, which we are not used to.
Right.
They had several cautions, but it was for 1 or 2 car spins, which is a lot better for the ARCA Menard Series.
By the way, just to go back to Friday real quick, one thing that we talked about in our chat group that we thought was really cool, look at the late model names in the top 5 from Friday night. Chandler Smith, yep, we've called his races to victory lane. Giro, yep, we've called him to victory lane. Christian Eckes, no, his late model time was pretty much over by the time we got in it, or I got in it. Ty Majeski, yep, we've called him to victory lane. So 4 of the top 5, Cody Geyer pointed this out in our chat group, 4 of the top 5 on Friday, Rich, former Snowball Derby winners. So yeah. You don't think that the short track scene, the late model scene, isn't producing NASCAR stars? There you go. There's your proof.
Yeah, and in the Riley Auto Parts, throw Sammy Smith in there. He's been doing a great job.
Yeah.
Of course, we had Sammy on the show after his Winchester 400 win.
Corey Heim, who led several laps in the 500 on Sunday, he's a friend of the program. We had him on after Speedfest back in 2020.
And we've had the guy on several times that probably should have won the Daytona 500, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. Probably
should have. Is that a good lead? Is that a good lead in?
So let me go first because I already know where you're going to be at, Rich. I thought that the first half of the race was really good. I was entertained in the first half. And then the fuel saving came in to start stage 3. And I know what a lot of talking heads will say is, well, you wouldn't have even known that they were saving fuel if they didn't tell you. But I'm here to say that that's complete garbage, and that's so false, because if you looked at the attitude of the pack from the beginning of the race and then the attitude of the pack when fuel saving was over in those final 20 laps, completely different product. And that 60-lap run, call it that they had to start stage 3 where they were fuel saving was my least favorite part of the day. I didn't like what happened on the last lap with the crashing. But the fuel saving was my least favorite part of the day. That's where I have the biggest issue with how the 500 unfolded this year. Not a huge fan of the crashes, and not even the one in the short shoot on the front stretch with Carson Hocevar. I was heartbroken as a Carson Hocevar fan, but that happens. He didn't cover the entire outside lane, so Jones pushed him off center, and that's part of racing. The stuff coming through the tri-oval, that left a bad taste in my mouth for sure. But I think overall that I have an issue with the fuel mileage stuff. So, Rich, I yield to you.
Yeah, in the last 2 laps, they wrecked more race cars than they wrecked all day.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 5 miles, and that wasn't race. The person that won the race had no business winning that race.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but also playing the game, right? Like,
well, if the first 480 miles or 490 miles is just let's follow the leader and just follow each other around, that's not racing to me either. I mean, yeah. that is not riveting TV for me
Right.
to watch. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Which is
And
why
then
I
now-
think the first part was not that way. That's what I'm trying to say is that first stage, even through stage 2, I didn't feel like it was that way. But the beginning of stage 3, when they very clearly were trying to save fuel to make it in one stop at the end, that's where I started having a problem with it. Now, Noah Longyear is in the Horsepower Happenings live chat, our producer, and he raises a good point that I've seen a couple of people say, keep the stage points if you want it that way, but ditch the break in the action. And I don't think that's an answer, because the reason that NASCAR wants stages is for the end segment excitement, right? They want the thrill of racing your heart out on that final lap to get stage points. And if the race is just going to continue with no stoppage, I don't think that they're going to get the product that they want out of stage racing if they do that.
Wasn't much of that either, though.
That's
at the
true.
end of the stages, there
That's
really
true.
wasn't. They were running single file or side by side, and they didn't change. Nobody was darting out making incredible moves because they wanted to have a race at the end that they could wreck. A car left, you know. If you're going to wreck your car for stage points at the end of stage 1 and stage two, there is no way you're going to be in that wreck in the last 2 laps.
Yeah,
you don't have a shot.
I get
So,
you. Yeah.
That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. I was not impressed.
Will you watch Atlanta, another super speedway style race?
Atlanta's a little bit different. I'm gonna give it a shot, but I mean, it's going to be hard for me to turn on Daytona again in the summertime or Talladega a couple times this year.
Yeah.
You're going to get the same thing. Talladega, you seem to have a lot more room, so they don't destroy each other as easily. I don't know why. It just seems that way.
And I don't know what's after Atlanta. I think, is it a mile and a half that they go to after Atlanta? I'm not sure. I'll be interested to see what week 3 looks like when it's not a super speedway style race, because Atlanta, after the repave and the package that they bring there, is a lot of drafting. Now, we saw it start to change last year with the grip level. Cars were moving around, and it started to kind of, you could see it start to trend back the other way, but I'll be interested to see how things go with I'll call it a regular racetrack, a mile and a half.
I thought they went out west for a couple of races after because the
Vegas,
weather
maybe?
back east isn't quite there yet to get going. I don't think they want to risk.
Noah saying from production, it's the road course race down in Texas at COTA, Circuit of the Americas.
That would make sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be good. I think that'll be good. So, all right, let's move on. Got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. ASA Stars National Tour race on Tuesday, the Clyde Hart Memorial from New Smyrna. Rich, did you take that one in?
Every lap of it, and I was surprised. Carson Brown was good, and
He was really good.
He was really good, and I was not expecting him to stay strong that whole race. He got out there
in stage 3, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought there were guys. I thought some of the guys were saving. I mean, it just looked like that. Mm-hmm. And by letting him get away, hey, we'll let the kid go out there and use his stuff, because he has never been accused of not being aggressive, whether he's been on pavement or in a dirt car, right?
Yeah.
So, his car was that good, Zach. Carson Brown's car was that good and deserved everything he had.
What a dominating performance, too. Let's not underplay how good he was.
Absolutely.
And that race was good, though. I mean, you sometimes you get races that somebody goes out there and stinks it up and it's not a good race. It was a good race because you had the first stage was a mess. That's where they tore up a lot of race cars. But then stage 2 and then the final stage of the race, it was good TV, in my opinion. I thought it was a really good show. Yeah,
you had the typical I'm going to put on a show guy who didn't qualify as bad as he usually does, but Stephen Nasse did a nice job working himself up into the top 5. Usually you can find him back there, 30th, 29th, 28th, somewhere back in there. And he had qualified, I think it was around 19th or something. So that felt like half the work was done for him.
Right.
But he worked his way back up there cleanly, and I don't think he had much of a scratch on that race car. I thought he did a good job too.
And the other thing, too, that I thought was interesting is we found out that Chevrolet does have a driver development program. I didn't know that until Charlie Krall started talking to Carson down in Victory Lane. And Carson's, got an alignment with RCR and Chevrolet's development program. So we'll see if they take a run at TRD and really start to challenge with their development program. That's what I'm interested in seeing.
Yeah, I thought Carson was going to have a bit when I last talked to him on pit road at the Winchester 400. when he was out. He had a rough day that day, and whatever they've done. I mean, it was the same race team, right? So whatever they did since October, they've done something with that race car, because that car should have he probably should have dominated at Winchester. They have the team to do it at Campy, and but whatever they did down there at New Smyrna was the right deal, because nobody had anything for them.
It was announced this week that the High Limit Racing sprint cars have a new title sponsor. Kubota is out. They pulled their sponsorship from everything short track racing. And Interstate Batteries is in, Rich. What a unique sponsorship for sprint cars who don't use starters and don't have a need for batteries. Interstate Batteries, though, sponsoring the High Limit Racing sprint cars. This is cool to see Interstate Batteries, which, of course, we know as being well involved in the top tier sports, top tier levels of our sport, like NASCAR. Very cool to see them involved at this level, I think.
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't have been surprised if there was competition to get that with all the success that the High Limit has been and how popular it is now. Is it more popular in the world of outlaws? It's about there.
Up for debate, isn't it?
Yeah, you could argue both sides of the fence. And, you have a company like Interstate that wants their name on the top of that. Not a bad idea.
Absolutely. So there you go. Andrew Bogus announced over the week, Rich, that they will run their must-see racing Midwest Light program. But, of course, it won't be sanctioned by Must-See Racing anymore. The Must-See Racing crew announced that program would go away due to some struggling numbers and some other logistical things. Well, Andrew announced that they're going to keep that team going, and they know what they're going to do. They are going to race with the Tri-State Sprints throughout the course of the 2026 season and race over at Grand Bend Speedway in Ontario. So happy to see that one of these Midwest Lights teams have been able to still invest in their program and find somewhere to race. Great things happening with John Boy Hotchkiss and Tri-State Sprints, giving guys an opportunity who maybe don't have the budget or don't fit the rules package for a full-blown winged 410 sanction to have somewhere to race around here around the state of Michigan. What do you think of that?
Yeah, and Tri-State Sprints has been very active in the off season.
Mm-hmm.
Staffing, getting the right officials into place, taking the next step, right, to the next level. And what are they also doing? They're getting more tracks. They're getting more race nights.
Headed down to Anderson, home of the Little 500. That's big.
Yeah. So I'm gonna really want to take a look at that Tri-State Sprints and keep an eye on them this spring and throughout the summer.
Take a look at our Mark News coverage sheet, Rich, and put your name down for a couple of their races. Go check it out firsthand.
I plan on it. I absolutely plan on it.
Hey, speaking of Mark News, some new columns have been posted at marknews.org. Be sure to check them out. I took a lukewarm take on AI last week. And also, Kyle Hayden has put in a new entry for this month, talking about a devastating race that he was a way back in the street stock or factory stock days. So that out at marknews.org. Also, don't forget to sign up for the Mark News weekly newsletter. That comes out on Wednesday morning, so be sure to do that. And while we're talking about it, don't forget to head over to Michigan Area Racing Connection, Michigan Area Racing Connection's Facebook page. Rich, we're less than 100 followers away from giving away our first pair of season tickets. So less than 100.
Can I follow like 99 times myself and win the tickets?
I don't think that's how it works.
It won't work that way?
I don't think that's how it works. We have Davey Hamilton Jr., winner from Saturday's World Series sprint car race at New Smyrna Speedway, promoter of the Open Wheel Showdown, and just general open wheel phenom. Coming up on the other side, you're listening and watching to the Horsepower Happenings podcast.
The Horsepower Happenings podcast is Michigan's short track racing authority. For nearly a decade, Horsepower Happenings has given race fans a chance to hear directly from their favorite drivers, local track owners, and promoters. Horsepower Happenings is the only podcast keeping fans engaged with Michigan area racing for 52 weeks a year. Don't miss the Horsepower Happenings podcast live on Facebook every Monday night at 6:30 and available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Visit horsepowerhappenings.com and follow on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube.
Mark News is back. Michigan Area Racing Connection News keeps fans in the tri-state area up to date on national headlines, local results, regional news, and so much more. home of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, 500 Sprintcast, Gridline Social, Job Bank, Fastlane Images, KG Media, and so much more. MarkNews.org is the one stop for any race fan who needs to know what's going on in the Michigan area. Plus, get the Mark News weekly newsletter sent right to your inbox, FREE free. Sign up today and learn more at marknews.org. MarkNews.org, the Michigan Area Racing Connection.
KG Media is your home for all things photography, race day social media, and more. Cody Geyer brings more than a decade of experience working with the top brands in short track racing. From individual photos to full race days, social media to PR, KG Media can make your race team, race track, or touring series stand out. For more information, go to marknews.org or visit KG Media on Facebook.
The Horsepower Happenings podcast is Michigan's short track racing authority. For nearly a decade, Horsepower Happenings has given race fans a chance to hear directly from their favorite drivers, local track owners, and promoters. Horsepower Happenings is the only podcast keeping fans engaged with Michigan area racing for 52 weeks a year. Don't miss the Horsepower Happenings podcast live on Facebook every Monday night at 6:30 and available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Visit horsepowerhappenings.com and follow on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube.
Welcome back to the Horsepower Happenings podcast. It is our pleasure now to welcome in the driver who picked up the feature win on Saturday as part of the World Series finale. He makes his home in Tampa, Florida. Davey Hamilton Jr. Welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
It is exciting, man. And open wheel racing right now, wing, non-wing, sprint car racing, midgets, really exciting. And whether it's dirt or pavement, and we're kind of getting off course here, but this was a great lead in. There just seems to be a lot of momentum for open wheel racing right now. And as a I'm general manager for a dirt series here in Michigan, Great Lakes Super Sprints. You obviously promote the open wheel showdown out west. Do you agree with that, man? Does it just feel like there's a buzz for open wheel racing right now?
Absolutely. I mean, I unfortunately don't know much on the dirt side of things. You know, the pavement side of stuff. I mean, even wing sprint car racing back in 2021 and 22, when I was like heavy, like 60 races a year for the team that I drive for, it was, I think the highest paying race was like maybe 10 grand to win outside a little 500. That's always been 25 grand to win, but there was never these bigger paying races. And in 2023, that kind of made me like want to spark I want to show these promoters like, hey, these World of Outlaw races, they're racing for serious money. It's our turn to have a sprint car on pavement race for that type of money as well. So I'm not saying Open Wheel Showdown helps spark the pavement side of things for like sprint car racing, but it's grown. I mean, now we race almost every weekend, or as much as possible with whether it's I just ran for 2,500 to win, but there's a lot of races throughout the year now that are 5, 10, 15, 25, 50, and now you got another series that's the race for the million that you could go and compete for $250,000 if you win everything. So it's awesome to see the midget world. Like, I mean, even on pavement, there's a new series in the Midwest that's kind of growing. That's turning into it's honestly a bang for your buck. As cheap as it is, it seems like that's going to be the new best thing for short track pavement racing.
Well, you brought it up, so let's go back to 2023, and I guess probably we need to go back to 2022, 2021. And I agree with you, and this is from a non-objective, I appreciate Jim Hanks and everything he's done. I appreciate the Auto Value Bumper to Bumper crew when they had their thing going on. That obviously evolves and becomes 500 Sprint Car Tour back, call it 2018, 2019, and we see the wings come off, and there's just a lot of different things happening before 500 is actually born. Must See is doing their deal, and, they're trying to do the Midwest Lights thing to keep things growing, and just pavement sprint car racing was in a funk, man. So dive into it more. How do you decide as a driver, and obviously as a second generation talent, that there's a lot of open wheel history for you guys? Where does this idea come from to say, let's promote our own, we can give this thing a shot in the arm?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and it actually all started in 2019. I was dealing with some personal things that I had to learn from and grow from. And it's funny, I was talking to one of my mentors the other day. I had a binder, it was like this thick, and it was just like a couple hundred pages of different business ideas that I was going to do, from tanning salons to go indoor go-karting facilities, races and stuff like that. Well, I was watching a lot of the old races my dad was competing in with like Copper World Classic and Turkey Night and things like that. And during that time, it wasn't a thing. Like there was no Turkey Night on pavement, anyways. There was no Turkey Night or Copper World Classic anymore. And I reached out to one of my old teams that I drove for, and I told him like, "Hey, why doesn't this exist?" And he kind of explained it to me. And then when I was able to start racing for Kirk Morgan Racing in 2021, it made me realize I was like, something needs to change because we're racing for like no money. Like it's very little money. It's not professional. It's gone a lot better, but like the racing I was doing in Florida was just not like, it wasn't where I could make a living. You know what I mean? I had to do other things. So, and I was putting all my effort into the team as well. So I told Kirk my idea, and he actually was kind of behind me that first idea. And he's like, run with it, man. And helped me kind of figure out the logistics to make it happen. I started picking up the phone and calling people, and I made the idea. And honestly, everybody went into that first year, including myself. This could be a joke. Like this could go bad and end badly. And fortunately, it was very successful and led to, Ralph Shaheen coming on board and all these great partners that we announce almost every week now just to help build the event. And it's become, it's not just one class that's special. It's 5-6 classes now that everybody's going to Vegas and having their finale. And it's a fill of the Indy 500 for short track racing in their own right in that specific class. So
why the bull ring? I mean, why go out there?
That's easy. Vegas is a sex appeal place, right? Like it is, it's fun. It's awesome. I actually used to live there. And then on top of that, I grew up racing midgets there, like focus midgets a long time ago. And there is not many I would say not as many top-notch facilities such as Vegas because it's owned by SMI, which they own a lot of NASCAR tracks around the country. So they have the ability to put millions and millions into a short track. So it's just a top-notch facility. The closest thing you can compare it to is what Rex is doing at Owasso. I mean, they're like head and head as far as like niceness goes. And Rex has a long way to go to be finalized, right? But it's going to end up being just as awesome as Vegas.
Dave, I think maybe 3 to 5 years ago, and you can answer, maybe you guys' hands were kind of dealt and you had to think of a new way to do things. I'm one of the announcers at Toledo Speedway, and they said, we can't have these cars here anymore. We're going to kill somebody, right? You guys were just going too fast, right? I mean, you're getting back down into 10-second laps. That's ridiculous at Toledo. How you guys do it, I have no idea. But when you have that and you start saying, well, we're not going to be able to go there anymore, and you guys put on a show and always drew the fans there, does that make you look for alternative events and other tracks to go to? Because you can't just sit on the sidelines and watch them go away.
Yeah, for example, we just raced at New Smyrna, right? And that was by far way more gnarly than Toledo. I'll have to say that's pretty insane in a wing sprint car. But to your point, super modifieds, I'll kind of talk about that is, there was an incident at Vegas actually where he got injured and kind of got paralyzed and has a lot of health issues now because of it, unfortunately. And they kind of stopped short track open wheel racing there, and it caused some issues with like insurance and the track was wanting to make sure that it was super safe. Luckily we've had a safe event ever since, but it's hard to say, man. I personally have looked at like Irwindale, for example. I had a big wreck there. I was in the hospital and broke my back and things, and you go so fast, but as a promoter, you want it to be safe. You don't want to see anybody get hurt, but I don't know the right answer to what you do of finding other venues to go to, because it's hard to say like, hey, this track in Middle Michigan is a much better racetrack than Irwindale, but it doesn't have the same feeling of going to the ocean, and the fans there's more fans that are coming. There's more families coming out vacation wise. So I don't know the answer to that, man. But, I do know one thing, though, is I'm happy with what I have in Vegas. We're going to keep it there for years to come. I'm going to keep growing that thing. And, there was always chatter of me wanting to do other races outside of my one event. But I've learned I spend all year on this one event, all year long, every day I spend on this one event alone. It's my life, it's my job. And I've learned I don't think I have the ability to be race car driver, promoter for this big, not just one event, it's one of the biggest events, and then do other events, So I'm gonna let all these other guys have fun with their things. I'll focus on my circus.
Well, what was the tipping point? Obviously, a lot of drivers think they can promote a racetrack because they all give their opinions, right? Every track go to, every track you go to, if there's something you don't like, you say, "Well, you should do this. You should do this." What was the tipping point where you said, "Well, I'm just going to do this"?
It was simple. I mean, I was looking, me and the team that I was with, I'm still with Kurt Murray Racing. We were racing all these races, and like I said, there was not a lot of money coming in, and it kind of bothered me because I feel like at that point we were racing almost 60 times a year, and I was making not enough you're scrambling for pennies just to get by. As a driver, I had other things going on in life, but it just was sick to my stomach. You're watching racing and you're like, how the heck do these dirt guys go and get this type of money and racing for $1 million or racing for $250,000? And, I started putting numbers together. Unfortunately for me, my grandfather was a promoter in Meridian Speedway in Idaho. My dad's promoted races. And I grew up in that field in a way of just kind of seeing things behind the scenes and how it works. And then you start doing all the calculations and the math and understanding tire sales and sponsorships and pit pass pricing. And you start putting all that together to understand what your costs are. And, I'll be completely open with you guys. My event costs me over $500,000 to do every year. And that's the cost. Rent the facility, get the insurance. But what the tipping point was genuinely, I was tired of us racing for absolutely no money when we're racing $100,000 race cars.
Sounds like the outlaw super late model problem that we started having around here, Rich, before Reveal the Hammer stepped in. And
I think that's the same. I think that's the same thing that you can go to any racetrack on a Saturday night. Whatever you open the rules are, the guys are going to build the best car they can, whether they're racing for $25 in a trophy or $10,000. They can't check themselves, Davey, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. I mean, I'm doing the best I can. Our purse is so heavy. As far as what we give out to people. And it's usually what we try to do is in all the classes that I have, we want them to feel like they're racing for the biggest purse that they've typically raced for. It may not always be that way, but, that's kind of my goal. Well, it's turned into everybody wants the money, don't get me wrong, but it's now turned into a special event where people just want to go and hang out. They're all excited. I mean, I sold out of my RV spots on the first day that we're still 10 months away. So, it's just cool. I'm just looking forward to the future. There's a lot of people behind me. And, on top of that, I'm still race car driver. I'm still trying to get to my goals in my own racing career where, luckily I have this Opal Showdown as my backup plan, my plan B for many years to come in case racing doesn't work out. But I'm pretty committed. I got to make racing work one way or another.
Let's talk about Saturday's show specifically. We're going to kind of jump around a little bit, but that's the most recent thing. Actually, I'm going to back up a second. I forgot. I was going to ask you one more thing about your race. Is midgets happening, man? You've been teasing that, and you put out a potential payout. How's the response been? What do you think?
I'm a very honest guy, and I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. I love midgets. There's nothing more that I think is the funnest thing to race is a midget. Plain simple. I love wing sprint car racing, but the funnest thing you could possibly race is a midget. It killed me having to get rid of them in 2024 for my event. But when I did a team meeting with a bunch of teams on the call a couple weeks ago, and it was simple. The fact was I had to cancel the midgets due to the fact there was only 8 entries a month before my event.
Yeah.
Well, at the time, Klotz Lubricants was a title sponsor of that class. Nobody was happy. Speed Sport wasn't happy. Hoosier wasn't happy. Klotz wasn't happy. We had to come up with a solution. We did this open wheel modified class, which was so out of the way because my dream of Open Wheel Showdown was I want classes that I've raced in before, that I understand. I know these cars in and out. Well, so we added Open Wheel Modifieds. I've never raced one in my life, but it was a good addition because those guys, man, I mean, they were crying and excited and happy that they won. And, my IndyCar sponsors were all like, what in the heck? It's nothing, but everybody was so excited. And, but to go back to your question, midgets, I want midgets back. I'm willing to do the work to get them back. I have a bunch of partners that are willing to have them back. But the biggest issue that we're running into is that there's a series in the Midwest that just got started. I'm supportive of it. There's too many rules. It's too complicated. So like if you have one engine, you need to have this different camshaft and you're weighing this much and different weight. But if you have this engine, it's a different weight rule and this rule. And then I have cars on the West Coast that are like national midgets where they're not focus cars. Mm-hmm. So the thing that I was going to have an issue with is that I now have 30 potentially interested teams coming, but they're all different engine packages. How do you make it fair for a track like that? It's not like Chili Bowl where it's like a small enough track where anybody could bring something and kind of be somewhat competitive. Mm-hmm. Vegas is a little too large. So I'm honestly, like, I hate to say this, but it's very difficult for me to agree to bringing on a class that there isn't enough tech understanding yet for me. Yep. With it being a feeder class, all my feeder classes, they need to have very minimal rules because we're so strict on the sprint cars. Mm-hmm. So we can't have a midget that's a feeder class take an hour long in tech when we have 70 sprint cars on property that need to be tech properly and also put on a good show. I can't tell you if midgets are going to be back or not, but
well, that's a good answer though. I mean, there's and the late model world, the pro late model world has the same problem going on right now. They've got too many combinations. If you put these two Lego pieces together, then you get to run this rules package. And if you put this, it's too much. And it is keeping people home right now, but I understand that they're trying to work on that. So yeah. I completely get what you're saying. Real quick, we're going to keep going on with this interview with Davey Hamilton, but want to say thank you to one of our great supporters. This interview is presented by Outlaw Racing Supply. The most recognizable brands and over 3 decades of experience are available for you at Outlaw Racing Supply. Their showroom in Muskegon is home to brands like QA1, Landrum, AFCO, All-Star Performance, Schaefer's Oil, and so much more. From parts and supplies to shocks and suspension, even race engine updates, repairs, and new builds. Hardcore racing parts are at Outlaw Racing Supply in Muskegon at 231-246-7749 or online at outlawracingsupply.com. Now we'll go to New Smyrna. I mean it this time. World Series on Saturday. I'll be honest with you. I didn't get a chance to watch the race. I was working a fundraiser Saturday night, but I did see the 45-second clip that Flow Racing posted where Bobby Santos gave you literally everything he had and then some going into turn 3. But let's back up and let's talk about that whole night. It is kind of a one-off event, but it's part of the World Series, so that's a big deal for pavement racing. Not a lot of cars, but really good cars that did show up. Talk about your night.
Yeah, I mean, I've always dreamed about racing at New Smyrna as a kid watching sprint cars. So I was like, I'm happy to be there, even though that there was so little cars and car count, unfortunately. Our night was kind of tricky. I'm not going to say it was easy. It was kind of tricky. We were kind of learning some stuff with our engine. And then on top of that, we had a very weird failure in a heat race that kind of just slowed us up a bit that we had to fix and resolve. But we usually don't have a lot of luck on our side, but we had some luck this time around where we were able to start up front. And that track is you need clean air if you want to do well. Fortunately, we fixed everything and had everything pretty right starting heat race time before we had something come off. But we had the speed, man. We were fast. I mean, at one point I had, almost a half a lap lead I think at one point. But Bobby was going to be the challenge. So once I was up front, I was like, I'm not lifting. Please don't be any cautions. I got this, But other than that, the whole day went pretty well. But when it came to that last lap, my tires were completely off. I mean, I had no tire left.
I wondered because Adam Mackey, and he's a great announcer, and he really does keep his eye on things. He thought you broke. I mean, he thought you were off the pace. Bobby got such a run off of 2.
Yeah, I was, and I was playing a little too defensive, truly. With the tire wear that I had, I kind of entered a little low and going into 1, and with that tire wear, it caused me to push. So I had so much wheel input to it. I kind of had to lift a little bit just to kind of help it rotate. And that's where Bobby had that huge run. And we have a good motor. Like our engine we had the power down the straightaway. So Bobby wasn't truly side by side with me there, but he had the ability to send it in there. And we put on a show for the fans. it's one of those deals. It's a racing incident. I held my line, and he had to go for that gap. And
I
I
imagine you
don't
didn't know
blame
he
him.
was there until you guys were entering the corner anyhow.
I didn't know he was like there, but I
Fine.
knew he was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the issue is like with the banking there, and you go 4 tires underneath the yellow line. As soon as you touch that banking, you're going to slide up a little bit. And I'll be honest, I was in defensive mode. Like I was not giving an inch. I had the opportunity to win a race for the first time in 2 years, and on top of that, I led that entire race. I was not going to give that up. There's no video of this out on social media, but there was another restart where Bobby got side by side with me, and me and him were side by side for a whole lap. And
That's impressive.
I was committed to not lifting. I didn't want to get by him. And me and Bobby are like really good friends. So the last thing we both want to see is touching each other, which we never have in our entire careers together. And on top of that, one of us not finishing the race due to something like that. But he had to send it. He had to run. He had to do that part. And I was playing defense a little bit. I didn't block or chop him or anything like that, but I held my line, and I was not giving it. I wasn't going to slide up or give an inch or even lift. But we got the win, and Kirk, my team owner, Todd, Luigi, the guys, everybody, we put so much effort into that team overall. And, it's just, like I said in the interview, I was like, this might as well be the biggest win of my career because I haven't won in so long. But it's not. But it was still really cool to win there and win a part of the World Series and, start getting this team back on track. And we want to go get wins this year. And I got to be aggressive. And I kind of showed that the other night. But there's a lot of things I need to do better. And we're gonna be a contender this year for sure, no matter where we go.
That was new for the World Series to bring on open wheel sprint cars, to a pavement with fendered late models and all that kind of stuff and all the other classes they run. How important was the air there to you guys? Did you have to learn that on what it would do?
Thankfully, I started on the pole because if you start in the back, I mean, Bobby made it work. He got up to third within the first corner. And I think he started 7th or 8th, but dirty air there, you stall out. I mean, you could feel it. It's very hard. I mean, my situation is these cars that I drive, the chassis, there's not a lot of weight on the front end, so it gets light pretty easily. So the front end just kind of skates on top of the surface and behind dirty air. And it's something that I got to work on too of my timing a little bit. But dirty air there is very massive. It's an important factor you have to put in play. And I think, I was looking back at pictures and watching on TV, but Bobby actually did something different with his nose wing. And I noticed it right off the bat. And it made me question, he's so smart and he knows these cars better than anybody. It's almost like he kind of knew that air was going to be a huge factor. And he was trying something to see if it would work. Dirty air there's big. Fortunately, there wasn't a lot of cars though. But if there was a field of like 20 plus, that would have been a nightmare.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you have to deal with lap traffic at all and their dirty air?
Oh yeah. The difference is that there wasn't enough cars to have like a middle ground speed, if that makes sense. Like the guys that we were lapping were just so far off the pace in the nicest way I could say that.
Yeah. They're easy to dismiss.
Yeah, like I didn't even have to worry about dirty air because I could pretty much send it on the outside, inside, whatever I needed to do, and it really didn't disrupt me. I was more focused, like, please no yellow, and just hang on to the throttle.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Rich.
And I was going to ask you, you mentioned everybody wants a bigger car count, right? I mean, and sprint cars, it's either feast or famine, it seems like to me, depending where you guys are at. But you had problems, man. Cody went out early in the heat race, broke the motor, and he had problems all day. When guys start having trouble early, and you guys, sprint cars are not bulletproof, does that make you nervous wondering who you're going to have left for the feature?
In a situation like that, absolutely. I mean, I can't, and that's kind of why I started Open Wheel Showdown as well, is like, I want these huge car counts again. Like I was racing races down here for no money, and there wasn't very many cars, and there wasn't there was competition, but 2021, 2022, there wasn't as much as there is now, and it's very hard nowadays. It sucks to see the attrition involved. That's why it's fun going to the bigger races, because you got so many cars where like attrition it's always going to be a factor, but not as much. And from a fan perspective, I can't imagine how it looks when there's only 6 to 8 cars that finish a race. It must not look fun to watch, but me and Bobby put on a hell of a show for the top two anyways.
Well,
let me just one more. I just want to follow up on that because I don't know the answer, and maybe I don't want to get too deep, but why in sprint car racing is there so much attrition? I mean, there a lot of electronics in the car, I think maybe, and you're packing every bit of horsepower into that thing. Use it or lose it, I guess, right?
Yeah, but there really isn't that many electronics, to be honest with you. There's a lot of rules in place where there's no batteries involved and minimal wiring and stuff like that. We kind of keep it old school in a sense, but the attrition is that we have 900 horsepower cars that are connected by like 4 radius rods basically, and and that's pretty much it. So then because of the wings and the speeds that we're running, it's so hard on these cars in the corner, especially corner entry. It's when they have the hardest and biggest load. And I've had shock failures, birdcage failures. I mean, my wing slider, one night it just happened to break under caution and just fall in my lap. And I mean, it just completely broke off. And even engines, we're turning these things, anywhere between 8 and 9 grand, RPM wise.
Is it true that you guys are trying to get, and I can't remember where this theory was presented to me, that with wings, maybe it was Jason Blonde, that you're trying to get less grip at points because you could be too gripped up with the top wing and with the tires and the horsepower and everything. Am I wrong on that?
I've never heard of that personally on my
Okay, maybe it wasn't Jason. I thought somebody presented that idea to me, and maybe it wasn't sprint cars, that you would actually be trying to get the rear wheels to break loose because you had so much grip, and you would be worried about torquing things out.
There's almost the opposite of that when it comes to non-wing sprint car racing. Then in non-wing sprint car racing, you are doing everything you can to get grip because all you have is wheel spin. I mean, in my situation, we take away so much horsepower. We move the butterflies so I don't get full throttle. We change my throttle position just for the non-wing stuff in order to help prevent wheel spin. And I mean, we run very low RPM and that stuff too. It's there is like you're wanting all the grip in the world. Sprint car and the wing stuff, I've never heard. Me personally,
well, maybe I might be offline,
yeah.
and I wonder if it was one of the crate guys that I was talking to. They have so much less horsepower that they're working with, so maybe it was one of them.
They drive sideways or tend to drive sideways. I mean, I personally just have never driven like that, so it's hard for me to say. But that's so much harder on their tires. And I mean, most of the races we do is Hoosier tire, and if you were driving with your wheels spinning like that, you're just going to kill yourself at one point.
All right, well, let's get off the Zach Heiser ignorance topic there, and let's move on to something else. So obviously, Race for the Million comes around, and I do think you do have something that, what you said there. You kind of sparked this thing. Everybody knows there's big money out west for the Open Wheel Showdown. Not a lot going on with a tour, and now all of a sudden we have this 4-race mini-series. Obviously, you have to compete in this thing because if you didn't, I mean, come on now, it is what it is. 50 cars entered for New Smyrna.
Pensacola.
Or Five Flags, I'm sorry. I did that earlier today, too. I've had World Series on the brain. So 50 cars entered for Pensacola, and Five Flag Speedway is astronomical to me. What do you foresee this 4-race series playing out like, and how do you see this first race going? Because that's a lot of sprint cars that not a lot of people have ever had to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to go race for, realistically, if you win everything, win the championship, win all the fast times, everything you're going to leave with about $250,000 at the end of the day. So that's exciting for me, and that's exciting for my team owner, obviously. But, I applaud with what they're doing because it's good for our sport to be able to compete for good money like that. The problem I see is that a lot of these tracks are big tracks, and some of the names that are on that list may not be so familiar with running on big tracks like that. And in order to get the kind of money that is being advertised, you kind of have to be at all 4 events and be a contender for the championship. Well, if you go to their first race and these teams are spending $10,000, $15,000 going across the country to get to it, and they don't make the race, well, then they're already out of the championship. This is going to be a very tough championship to win. So they're going to come across the country, may potentially not even make the race. And then at that point, they just lost 15 grand and they're out of the championship battle. So I think there's going to be a lot of attrition as far as the costs involved. to be able to do all of these races. I think the biggest race that we're gonna have this year as part of those 4 races is Colorado. That is, I mean, you're gonna get a lot of the West Coast cars for that one, and it's kind of a middle ground for everybody that are traveling. But
Berlin and Owasso, we had both promoters on a couple of weeks ago, and without saying it, you get the indication that they're wondering what they're going to get for their 2 shows.
Yeah, and like even me, I get 70 sprint car entries, right? And the entries is great. Everybody wants to get their entry in. They're all excited. They're all amped up. The issue is that life happens. Okay, this guy lost an engine. This guy had a personal matter, or something happens. Well, they may be advertising 50. Well, they advertised 51 entries, came out with a driver list of 49 cars. Now it's 50. Nobody really knows what the exact number is, but it's a little bit of a cluster, if you ask me. But the thing is that there's always going to be attrition from an entry standpoint, and when people start calculating the cost of what it's going to take to go down to Pensacola from wherever they are, it's there's going to be just some attrition. I think there's going to be a lot of cars there, period, and they're all going to be tough to beat. It is not going to be an easy task to even make the race. So I'm excited for that because I love a challenge, but I'm excited for what it's doing for our sport. There's a lot of cars that are coming out of the woodworks now. People are buying new stuff. It's good that there's an investment into the world of wing sprint car racing, but we may not always see eye to eye. But I'm excited to go take their money. That's what I'm gonna try to do.
That's
exactly
the way you look at it.
Davey, we talk about, and it happens a lot in other series, right? Once you're out of the championship, a lot of cars don't follow it after that, right? You think Jeff Striegel or Rex Wheeler would be happy with 20 or 25 cars?
Matter of fact, I actually had a great conversation with Jeff this weekend at New Smyrna. He was down here, and we were talking about some things and some ideas, and he knows I've been very honest and open with him about everything that's been kind of going on this year with Race for the Million and Opal Showdown and stuff. And I would be very surprised if only 20 to 25 cars were to show up there. Truly, I would still have to say there's got to be over 30 cars at those events. I would hope for anyways, but you never know. I mean, Pensacola is not an easy track. I mean, that's one of the biggest tracks you're going to start your season. And if your motor blows and some of these teams only have one engine, there you go. There's months out of your season because some of these parts are so hard to get currently. Or a crash happens. Some people only have one car. The list goes on. But I would be surprised if Jeff or Rex only get around 20 cars. I just don't see that happening. I see they're going to get over 30, and I truly want that for them. But I wish they could get 100 cars. I don't see how it's possible because I'm not saying mine is a crown jewel event, but even with 70 entries, that's almost everybody in the country. 70 is it's like everybody possible. So it's very hard to see anybody going close to that. And then on top of this, like you said, if you're out in that first race, it's going to be hard for somebody to be like, oh, let's go do another one, even though we're not in the money really, and hope for the best. So I'd say you're going to see, my honest opinion is that you're going to see 40 at Pensacola. Like I think there's going to be a fall off when there's logistics involved, but 40 to 42. And then I'd say in the Michigan areas, I'd say 30 to 35. And then Colorado, I think that's going to be the biggest one. Yeah. I think that's going to be, if everybody has cars still working after those races, I'd say there's probably going to be close to mid 40s there as well.
All right, a lot of stuff that we could unpack, Davey. Yeah. Obviously, your career is got a lot going on in it, but we are out of time. Last thing I wanted to ask you about was the non-wing program. Best career finish in the Little 500 came last year with a podium, from what I can see. So, what about that non-wing program, man? Are you eyeing a Little 5 championship this year?
Well, we've won some races in the non-wing car, but we want to win more. The past 2 years, I've led the most laps in Little 500, and just a random
last year is what I see.
Yeah, a random thing happened. Like this past year, I lost my brakes in the halfway point and had a coast basically to the end, and it just sucks. But this year, we're coming fully rocked and locked, and we're coming to go get that win.
Awesome. Davey, appreciate you making time to join us, man. Congratulations on the win on Saturday. Successful open wheel showdown not long ago, back in November. Wasn't that far away. You've already announced the dates for this year's event. We'll keep an eye on if midgets make the cut or not. There's a lot of excitement around that too. So appreciate you making time for us, sir. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rich.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we test your racing knowledge with one of the original Mark News columns, Gary Did You Know? That's straight ahead on the Horsepower Happenings podcast.
Mark News is back. Michigan Area Racing Connection News keeps fans in the tri-state area up to date on national headlines, local results, regional news, and so much more. Home of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, 500 Sprintcast, Gridline Social, Job Bank, Fastlane Images, KG Media, and so much more. MarkNews.org is the one stop for any race fan who needs to know what's going on in the Michigan area. Plus, get the Mark News weekly newsletter sent right to your inbox, FREE free. Sign up today and learn more at MarkNews.org. MarkNews.org, the Michigan Area Racing Connection.
KG Media is your home for all things photography, race day social media, and more. Cody Geyer brings more than a decade of experience working with the top brands in short track racing. From individual photos to full race days, social media to PR, KG Media can make your race team, race track, or touring series stand out. For more information, go to marknews.org or visit KG Media on Facebook.
The Horsepower Happenings podcast is Michigan's short track racing authority. For nearly a decade, Horsepower Happenings has given race fans a chance to hear directly from their favorite drivers, local track owners, and promoters. Horsepower Happenings is the only podcast keeping fans engaged with Michigan area racing for 52 weeks a year. Don't miss the Horsepower Happenings podcast live on Facebook every Monday night at 6:30 and available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Visit horsepowerhappenings.com and follow on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube.
And welcome back to Horsepower Happenings. And Zach, after a couple weeks of racing, getting our blood pumping, we got to bring this guy back, right? It's the third week of the month. Time for Gary Did You Know? Gary Lindahl, welcome back to Horsepower Happenings.
Always good to be with you, gentlemen. And week comes up awful quick, doesn't it?
You starting to get that racing feeling, Gary? It's not too far away.
As a matter of fact, yes, I am. I watched the 2 mileage race yesterday, and kind of get your.
Well, awesome. Well, let's go back. We want to find out anybody got lucky in January's quiz, which was quiz 57. So, like we normally do it, I'm going to quiz you, and you're going to give the answers. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1 from January. At one time, Bob Seneker was sponsored by what Chevy dealership?
And the answer to that is Nishan Spalding Chevrolet is who Bob Seneker was sponsored by.
We had a lot of people take a run at that one.
Did anybody get it right?
I don't know. You're supposed to gather those intel. So I guess we'll have to go through and look this week.
All right. Question
That'd probably be a good idea.
What does NARC stand for? I was going to say NARC, but we don't.
I know you were going to say NARC, and I'm going to say it has nothing to do with drugs, okay? That's NARC. You're correct. He's narked on me a few times. But anyway, the answer is Northern Auto Racing Club. The Northern Auto Racing Club.
I've never heard of it.
Was an old club? NARC has a sprint car series out west, I think.
I think you're right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, Gary, let's go to question number 3 from January. What was Ron Pittman's favorite number? I have no clue.
Ron Pittman's favorite number was the 01. He did most of his racing at the Butler Motor Speedway. Zach. And he was a great partier, too, man. I had a lot of fun with that crew. You didn't take a shot at it?
Didn't take a run at it.
That's your home track, isn't it?
My dad was very disappointed.
Your home track?
My dad was very disappointed.
Oh, boy, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he was.
Did Ed Heiser know what it was?
Sure he did. Sure he did. Yeah.
Well, absolutely was. I actually announced him many, many times. And, of course, quaffed a few beers with him, too.
Oh, no.
Ouch. All right, Gary, question number four from January. Where was the Rendezvous Bowl track located?
And this is interesting. It was located in Sister Lakes, Michigan.
So what was that? Was that a dirt track?
It was a midget. It was a midget track. It was a midget track.
So it just went away and got covered up by weeds, and
it just went away in a hurry. But it was still a racetrack, and this is an auto racing question quiz. So
that's true.
There you go.
Real quick, want to say thank you to Al Lardy and Going Green Trophies and Awards. They are the sponsor of Gary Did You Know for the 2026 season. And Rich, you saw the video. You've got one of these here waiting for you. Check
Very sharp.
This out. Isn't this cool?
Alan does a great job. Look at that.
This showed up at my doorstep. I had no idea that it was going to make its way here. Horsepower Happenings logo, my full name, the Michigan Area Racing Connection, another logo, and it is, I mean, it's on there. You know what I mean? It ain't coming off. It ain't like they just put some stickers on there. So thank you to Al. Again, trophies, plaques, apparently cups, and it doesn't just have to be racing either. I mentioned this in my video, Rich. A lot of folks that we know help coach little league teams, soccer, baseball, things like that. I'm sure that Al could get you hooked up for those as well. So Going Green, trophies and awards from Traverse City, Rich.
All right, Gary, you ready? We're going to go February, quiz number 58. Question number 1. It's all yours, sir.
Okay, question number 1 for quiz 58. Who won the very first 3-hour figure 8 in Indiana?
See, I've never heard of it.
Was this at the Speedrome? Would this still have been at the Speedrome?
That's for you to find out.
Oh, I tried to get us a hint. I tried.
I know that there's a list of all of the Speedrome winners in the 3-hour. I don't know if it goes further than that, where it began somewhere else and moved to there. So,
well, see, that's one of those things or whatever like that. And can I give a quick shout out to Al Lardy thank you very much for sponsoring Gary Did You Know? Because Al's a very good friend of mine. So thank you very much.
Al's great. Yes.
Okay, Gary, we'll let that marinate. Let's go to question number 2.
Question number 2. What was Mount Clemens Speedway original name?
Ooh,
somebody's going to get it. You know what? I'm on that Mount Clemens racetrack group. Somebody in there is going to get it.
Yep, there's people that know that.
I would think so. I would think they would, but who knows? You never know.
Dave DeHam, I bet he gets it, right? What do you think?
Oh, I think he would.
Dave
not
knows
a
everything
problem with
about
that.
Mount Clemens.
Yes, he does. But he's going to have to take a real shot at these other ones. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Question number 3.
Because
Gary.
we had some answers before, I had to step up my game a little bit on some of this. Okay.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to do that.
Question number 3. What was question number 3? Oh, wait a minute. It is question number 3. What was Dell Enyard's favorite number? Yippee skippy, huh? Go figure that one out. I ain't gonna be on Facebook.
This is awful specific too.
Yes,
like that.
It is very specific. Yeah, it is.
You might have saved us for a week, Gary.
Yeah, it could be on that one.
I don't know.
Okay,
this
question number.
Question number 4 might do it too. Go ahead.
Question number 4. What does IRMA stand for? And not Irma, your sister from another cousin, okay? Irma. See, look at that. You get NARC and you get Irma. How about that?
All right. I'm proud of you, Gary. You got some of your mojo back on this month's quiz.
Yeah, I think I did. I certainly do. Certainly do appreciate that. Thanks, Rich.
And hey, how cool was it that one of your was it the very first quiz that you published in Mark showed up on Facebook over these last couple of weeks?
It wasn't the very first one, but it was one of the quizzes. And the interesting thing was, and that was Joyce Good, Begonia. Anyway, that's Dick Goods, who was a very prominent super modified driver, his daughter. And she posted that because I had written about Dick Good and that particular one. Everybody is trying to take a shot at the answers. I thought it was funny. I finally had to give them the answers, okay? Because
and I commented on there. I can't
place.
remember what the questions were, but I said, well, in typical Zach fashion, I knew what one of them was.
Yes, there you go. Hey, 1 out of 4 ain't bad. At least you got one right.
That's not bad. Gary, appreciate you doing this. Thank you for keeping Did You Know alive and well. We will comb through. I know that we had some good responses. I think Jason took a run at it, and I think he may have got this past month's right. Brad took a run at it. I think Rand.
Right.
So we had some responses. I wish I'd have known, Rich, that we didn't get a chance to look into those because we had some good responses this time. So we'll look into those. And Gary, next time that we talk, we potentially could have had racing down at Attica Raceway Park. So, something to keep in mind.
Oh yeah, that's true because they usually open her up in March.
March 13th.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a week after my birthday. How about that?
Well, how about that? Gary, appreciate you, sir. Thanks for stopping by.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one.
We'll take a break. When we come back, Kelsey Ivy on the other side. This is the Horsepower Happenings podcast.
The Horsepower Happenings podcast is Michigan's short track racing authority. For nearly a decade, Horsepower Happenings has given race fans a chance to hear directly from their favorite drivers, local track owners, and promoters. Horsepower Happenings is the only podcast keeping fans engaged with Michigan area racing for 52 weeks a year. Don't miss the Horsepower Happenings podcast live on Facebook every Monday night at 6:30 and available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Visit horsepowerhappenings.com and follow on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube.
Mark News is back. Michigan Area Racing Connection News keeps fans in the tri-state area up to date on national headlines, local results, regional news, and so much more. Home of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, 500 Sprintcast, Gridline Social, Job Bank, Fastlane Images, KG Media, and so much more. MarkNews.org is the one stop for any race fan who needs to know what's going on in the Michigan area. Plus, get the Mark News weekly newsletter sent right to your inbox, FREE free. Sign up today and learn more at marknews.org. MarkNews.org, the Michigan Area Racing Connection.
KG Media is your home for all things photography, race day social media, and more. Cody Geyer brings more than a decade of experience working with the top brands in short track racing. From individual photos to full race days, social media to PR, KG Media can make your race team, race track, or touring series stand out. For more information, go to marknews.org or visit KG Media on Facebook.
The Horsepower Happenings podcast is Michigan's short track racing authority. For nearly a decade, Horsepower Happenings has given race fans a chance to hear directly from their favorite drivers, local track owners, and promoters. Horsepower Happenings is the only podcast keeping fans engaged with Michigan area racing for 52 weeks a year. Don't miss the Horsepower Happenings podcast live on Facebook every Monday night at 6:30 and available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Visit horsepowerhappenings.com and follow on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. The Horsepower Happenings podcast is Michigan's short track racing authority. For nearly a decade, Horsepower Happenings has given race fans a chance to hear directly from their favorite drivers, local track owners, and promoters. Horsepower Happenings is the only podcast keeping fans engaged with Michigan area racing for 52 weeks a year. Don't miss the Horsepower Happenings podcast live on Facebook every Monday night at 6:30 and available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Visit horsepowerhappenings.com and follow on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube.
Welcome back to the Horsepower Happenings podcast. It is our pleasure now to welcome in our third and final guest for the show. From Fremont, Ohio, second-generation driver, Kelsey Ivy Mange. It's so hard for me to put that last name on there. Kelsey, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. But I will say I am actually a fourth-generation driver, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah,
I always just think of your dad, you know?
Yeah, I have it on both sides, and it goes pretty deep in the blood.
What's the other side? I know we've talked about this at the racetrack before, but I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the show. So you've got obviously your dad, John, who has done so much at Attica and Fremont and everywhere else. So this would be mom's side of the family?
Yep. So my mom's dad and then my mom's grandpa both raced too.
Awesome. What did they do around here?
Toledo Speedway. Yeah.
Oh, there you go, Rich.
Yeah.
There you go, Rich. What's the last name?
Smith.
Smith. Okay.
They were
All right.
the 2+. So I don't know if you know Brian Smith out of
Oh,
Fremont,
yeah,
Ohio.
yeah, yeah.
So it would be his grandpa as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. All right. Well, hey, I didn't know we were going to have a family, treat show tonight, but that's pretty cool. So we've got you on. Obviously, the Rumble in Fort Wayne was a couple of months ago, and I do want to talk about that at some point. But this Saturday is kind of what I don't know. This is how I feel about it. I feel like it's kind of a bittersweet thing. What's going to happen on Saturday, and then what's going to happen
Saturday. Yeah, next Saturday.
next
Sorry.
Saturday.
Yep.
What's going to happen, and then throughout the course of this year in 2026 as kind of a farewell tour for you. Talk about that decision, because I think for a lot of race car drivers in a male-dominated sport, family happens and you just keep on moving on and you just keep racing. But when you're responsible for having the family happen, things are a little bit different. So talk to me about this decision to have kind of a farewell tour, if you will, to full-time racing.
Yeah, so I had contemplated it, doing it this year actually, and then weddings and things like that happened, and I decided that, well, that gives me an excuse to race another year before I kind of have my farewell tour. So um, I'm just getting to the point where I don't want to wait too long, because I feel like if I keep pushing it off, then it'll never happen. And so I figured I had to set a date and stick with it. So kind of puts the pressure on to make it happen, and then hopefully I can come back after.
Was this so obviously you got married and time flies. Was that at the end of 23 that you got married, or 24?
So 24. Yep.
Okay. And how, again, take me in as much as you can. How did this conversation go, right? I mean, because your husband has always been involved in your team. He's always been very hands-on with you racing. I see him at the racetrack all the time. Again, this is just something that us men never really had to worry about. If we had a family, we knew we would keep racing. So what was the conversation like at home to decide that this was going to happen? Because obviously having a family is important, getting married and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so everybody was kind of asking, and I was like, well, I don't know, I want to race, and at some point they're like, well, you can't race forever, and I'm like, well, I can, but I can't, can't wait forever to have kids. So I was
Right.
like, all right, well, I'll be turning 30 this year, and so I figured now's a good time. That way, I'm not, 60 and my kid's still in high school. So I think it'll be a good point. A good breaking point. I'm kind of at the point in my career where I feel like I've gained a lot of speed and momentum, but at the same time, I think I can carry that forward. So I think that at this point, taking a year off wouldn't be detrimental. It'll be hard.
Decision? Was it a tough conversation?
Not so much for him. I mean, he's kind of dying to have one. He's ready, but for me, it was pretty hard. Yeah, I said, I've been doing this since I was 3. Thinking about not doing it is crazy. I mean, you see interviews all the time of people like Brad Sweet, Jeff Gordon crying, hysterically crying, thinking about not racing. And it's like, you don't understand that feeling until you're kind of put in that spot where you got to choose. And for me, thankfully, it's a good choice. It'll be fun. I'm just hoping that everything goes smooth and that they'll want to be a part of it one day.
Kelsey, I look in your eyes when you're talking about that, and it sounds to me like you just want to take a break and do this and get yourself a family. Sounds like you may want to come back once you kind of get your kids all settled and a little bit grown. Doesn't sound like you're done jumping in the seat or putting a helmet on.
Yeah, I don't think so. I actually joked with my husband. I said, well, if I run Fort Wayne and then we could make it happen, January, February, I could still race Fort Wayne again. So, yeah, definitely not a forever thing, but also I am a female, right? I am, for a mom point of view, would not want to miss those moments by being in the shop every week and being on the road and gone. And I kind of want to take in the beginning moments, beginning months, and really enjoy those without being full time. So whether that's we come back and we run a few races here and there the first year, and then after the first year, then we kind of add a little bit more to the schedule. It's really just going to depend. I can tell you how I feel right now, and that's I want to go racing, but when the time comes, it might change a little.
So pretty darn good performance at the Rumble. How hard is that when you're only doing that? Maybe, I mean, you're not on pavement very much at all. How hard is it from when you go on the dirt and you say, okay, now we're going to go run on this little bull ring on this basketball court? How difficult is it for you?
For me, honestly, it's kind of easy. I actually think I would have been a really good asphalt driver, but my heart was in the dirt. I'm very consistent, whether that's good or bad. I could run the same line 100 times, and so to me, I love that. That's kind of my time to shine. I feel like when I go indoor racing, as long as everything goes well, I keep my nose clean. Like I'm gonna be in the top 3.
This was since we're on the Rumble, I remember walking in there on Saturday. This is the first time I'd ever been to the Rumble, and I've got Race Monitor out. And, you kind of get in your head how you expect things to go and just hear what I'm saying, not what I'm not saying. And I look at Race Monitor, and you guys go out there, and it's like bam, bam, bam. And I went, holy crap. These three cars are on another level. What did you and Dad and Tyler, did you guys go into the weekend feeling like you guys were going to be the ones to beat?
Honestly, yeah, I kind of compare it to being in a Keith Kunz car at the Chili Bowl.
Sure.
You have the equipment, you know that you have the right people behind you, and you have good teammates. So at that point in time, you just have to make sure you do your job and put yourself in position to be up front, because there's no excuses. And that's what my dad kept telling me. He's like, no excuses, no excuses. I said, I have no excuses. I said, I have all excitement. I was ready for that deal. I knew going into it that I'm in a car that has won or can win. And so that gives you a lot of confidence.
I was in the pits when you guys come back from either the heat races or the last practice or the practice qualifying session or something. And you took that helmet off and you were, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you were smiling ear to ear. And, the sentiment was, holy crap, we've got a hot rod. I just have to drive it.
And that's a lot easier for a driver. When you got a car that will do whatever you want it to do, it gives you the confidence to go out there and make the moves you need to make. So for me, it's nice to have that confidence going into it, knowing, it's only one time a year, but I have the best shot, to make it happen. So
what is that team dynamic like? Is there one person turning the wrenches on all the cars, or how are you guys communicating? How similar are those cars that you could share information as well? Like, there's a lot about this indoor stuff that I don't understand.
Yeah, so for us, we have probably like 10 or 15 people with us. We've got people, the girls are always making sure we're all fed and taken care of, and that we have hotel rooms and carpools to get there. And then my cousin Freddie usually helps me. He's my car chief. And then Andy helps Tyler, and then my Uncle Scott helps my dad. But we're all brainstorming the whole time. I mean, we're all talking like, okay, what'd you feel like? How'd you feel? And I would say the cars are pretty similar as far as what we want to put on them. It's just a matter of the feeling you like. I know Tyler's car doesn't have power steering, so his might be a little different as far as the feel that he gets versus my dad and I. Because when you turn that power steering on, sometimes it can be misleading what the car is actually doing because you can't feel it as much.
Interesting.
So it is, I did the one time I shut the power steering off just to see how truly tight the car is, because when you turn that power steering on,
is it an electric pump or something? How are you turning it off and on? Okay.
Yeah. So we have a switch, that you can turn it on and turn it off. Sometimes, like I said, I like to do that just to gauge, later on in the night, how the car gets after lap after lap after lap, because a heat race, it's so short, you can't really tell how long till the car starts changing. But when you get longer runs like that, if you turn it off, you can say, oh man, I was really tight at the end of the race. We probably don't need to start there. We can kind of back it down a little bit. But for the most part, I feel like we're all pretty similar in what we like and how we drive.
You talked about on the Hammer Down Racing Report last week, I think it was, that you guys kind of had a plan going in, right? You knew what qualifying looked like. There was this invert that put the three cars right near each other. Was there a discussed game plan going in as far as how things would go, or just let's make sure that we all finish in the top 3?
Yeah, the plan was, we basically told each other we'll see you on the front stretch. We don't know the order, but we'll see you there. But I knew, like I said, going into it, I started on the outside, right? So I kind of had the worst starting spot for the sake of the three positions. Had it not been my teammates, it might have been a different story, but because it was my teammates, I didn't worry about it.
Dad let you in. Come on.
I don't know. I said I might have jumped the start a little bit, but I said he didn't make it look as bad as I thought it was. So,
and he's not going to complain about it either, right? He's not going to try to get it called back. Now, what about Tyler? Because you had a lead that I thought was pretty good, and I think it was not to throw him under the bus, but I think it was Tyler Rankin spun in 3 and 4, which allowed your teammate, and I've never said his last name, Tyler Schulich. He gets to your back bumper, and I thought, well, if she gets a good start, she'll be okay. That did not happen for you. What happened on that restart?
So now that we kind of went back and rewatched it, and my uncle told me that it was my fault that I didn't kind of drive down on the start, and Schulich said that he knows races are won and lost on the starts, on the pavement especially, and so I think experience on that side of it played into his favor, because he knew, I guess I'm so used to, there's a cone, right? Like you're not going to pass me until the cone at least. And it's usually when you're going in the corner. So I'm not going to give up the bottom. Well, I moved up.
Did you think there was a problem with the car? I thought you told me something was wrong with the car at one point.
Yeah. So the motor started to lay down.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So we got it back to the shop, and they go, yeah, you're pretty lucky that you even made it.
But so Dad and Tyler were saying, did you know that the motor was laying down before the restart?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
And my fear was,
were they saying that you should have kind of really got a run at it?
I should have stayed down on the start, but my fear was because it was laying down, it wasn't going to take off. And the last thing I want to do is wreck my teammates behind me.
Yeah.
And so I kind of went up a little bit, and then I shouldn't have. And I know that now, but at the same time, my car wasn't going, like it wasn't accelerating. So I was afraid that it wasn't going to accelerate, and then they would hit me and wreck each other. So yeah, it worked out. It finished the race, but it was definitely knocking.
This race is, or this interview rather, is brought to you by No Limit Carts and Parts, proud supporter of the Horsepower Happenings podcast. If you're ready to join the winner's circle in 2026, start your season strong with No Limit Carts and Parts, your trusted source for everything go-karts and mini wedges. From expert chassis setup service to engine building and dyno tuning, plus a full inventory of complete chassis, parts, and tires. They've got what it takes to put you up front. Don't leave speed on the table. Call No Limit Carts and Parts today, 248-866-9109, and take your program to the next level, Rich.
Kelsey, when you, notwithstanding the issues you had near the end, does that really make it even tougher to, be able to take the helmet off when, man, you're just so competitive and you have so much fun doing it?
Yeah, I think my dad was happier than I was, because I was just so heartbroken. I was like, man, that was my race. And knowing, this is going to be my last year, it's like, I don't know how many chances I'll get to be there. And so Dad was happy as could be, because he had no clue. And I was like, no, I think if that wouldn't have happened, I'd have been all right. And but it was still great, right? Beating my dad indoors in general is tough, but cool to be on the front row together and finish 1, 2, 3.
There aren't a lot of people outside the family that can beat your dad indoors either, so don't feel too bad.
What does the schedule look like now for what you want to do this year? I know when you're looking at what could be and what the return's going to be like, and there's so many questions. Are you trying to hit bucket list stuff this year? Are you trying to run for a championship? Do you just want to win races? Like, what are you guys, you and your team out to do this year?
So we'll run the majority of the GLSS stuff. Anytime if there's a conflict or something like that, we may go run some bucket list tracks if we know like there's rain in the area, or I do have a wedding, so I do have a couple obligations to be at some events throughout the summer, but primarily GLSS and then some bucket list tracks. For me, Port Royal's on there for sure. That one's actually a midweek show though, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Are you getting a 410 out to go do some of these bucket list stuff?
Nope, we don't have a 410.
Okay.
So
Well, I didn't know if it was like,
no.
let's go all in on this thing, right?
No. It'll be 360 stuff, and then my shop mate Brian Rasm runs 305s at Fremont and Attica, so he has a couple obligations where he'll be either on vacation or at weddings as well, and he said he's more than happy that if he has an off weekend to let me run in front of my home track and run with my dad for my last year, so that'll be cool too.
This party on next Saturday is what? A celebration, a fundraiser, a little bit of both. Like these pre-race parties are very popular down in Ohio with the sprint car crowd. We don't do them up here in Michigan, so I don't know what they're all about. What's the premise? What's going on?
Yeah, so it's pretty much a fundraising party. We used to do them a lot and kind of fell away from them because it does take a lot of effort to get into it. But we're going to have a band and dinner provided with a ticket. The tickets are $40 a piece or $300 for a table of 8. We have tons of raffle prizes. We have 55-inch screen TV. We have gift certificates. We have free smoothies for a year for Tropical Smoothie.
Oh, nice.
I mean, just tons. And then we also, for the people that come, because again, right, like I'm from Fremont, but I don't get to race around Fremont. So I kind of wanted to give people an opportunity that if they want to sponsor us or if they want to help us out by, just coming to this party, they can. They don't have to sponsor the race car per se if they can't, but they can just show up and buy raffle tickets, and contribute that way. And so we're also going to have a special order of t-shirts just for that event because we do sell out of t-shirts a lot of times. And so it's hard when, the local people are like, man, we didn't get a chance to get a t-shirt. So it'll be like, all right, you guys get first dibs on these t-shirts. And then if there's any left over, we'll carry them out throughout the season, but I'm excited for it.
I'll tell you, I'm not really, even though I'm from there, I've been away from Ohio for many, many years. I was born there, but I got over it, right? You guys have fun down there. I can tell. Rusty Schlenk does a big old party as well. How many people do you? This is not your first time. How many people do you usually get to these things?
I would say anywhere from 75 to 100 people. I think between friends, family, people you meet, going out. So like I'm having it at the Eagles in Clyde, which is like right down the street from my house, and we'll go in there and have dinner. And so you get people that aren't even race fans that are like, hey, we want to come support you. We want to hang out. We want to see what this is all about. And we actually got them they'll play the races on the TVs. And, we're just trying to get the community involved and just give the sport exposure.
Bittersweet. We already talked about that. How are you going to feel when September rolls around?
It makes me sick to my stomach. Does
it really?
Yeah, it does. Just thinking about not like having next year, it's almost like being a senior in sports, right? It's like this, this is the last time I'm going to play this game in this environment, in this room. Whereas it's not the last time I'm going to race, but it is the last time for who knows how long that I'm going to race, this level, this amount of time. And so slowing down for me is going to be very hard.
Tell Zach to knock it off. We're just trying to just get rid of the snow. And he's already in September. You haven't even hot lapped once yet. All right.
I know, right?
Do you have any racing moms that you've reached out to, or have you started kind of trying to build this catalog of people that you can talk to about this?
No, I haven't. I do follow people though that I see have kids and race, and so I tell myself, if they can do it at that level, I can do it at this level. It's just a matter of time, however long it takes. There's no rush. I mean, I raced down south, and Morgan Turpin was down there, and I think they had said it was like 6 weeks, 8 weeks since she had a child, and so it can be done. It's not a forever thing. It's just the next chapter, right? It might look a little different for a little bit, but I don't see myself being out of it for long.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing too, is you never know, right? Like my sister-in-law worked and had a baby, and she hasn't worked since, what I mean? And she had this idea that she was going to keep working, but you just never know. I think racing's different though. When people say that racing is an addiction, they mean it.
Oh yeah.
And it's cool too, though. You're in such a unique spot, whether you have a boy or a girl or whatever. Either way, this is a sport that you can pass on, and you can prove that it can be passed on.
Absolutely. And what's funny is we went to Columbus 2 weeks ago, and my dad was racing, so I went to help him. Well, they have this juice box class, they called it, and it was a little like electric cart, and these kids went out there, and I was like looking up on, I was like, all right, how much did this cost? I'm already thinking like, all right, how much is this going to cost? Because I think I get my fill for a little bit if I do this. So yeah, I think I'm hoping that they'll like it. I'll obviously never force it on them, but
how's your dad feel about this?
He's sad more or less at the fact that we don't really get the chance to race with each other as much as we used to. But he's got grandkids already, so he's got a kitty cart sitting in his garage that I know he's dying to get out. And whether or not it's them or mine or somebody's, I'm hoping that we can kind of get that thing out there and get it on the track, give him something to look forward to as well.
Hey, you know what? If there's a will, there's a way. Max had a baby and brought it to the banquet. So I mean, heck, he didn't miss a beat. He's getting back in the race car.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Max needs to thank God for Rachel. So.
Oh yes. Uh-huh.
Well, Kelsey, what are some of so you mentioned GLSS, and you mentioned Port Royal. Are you going back out to Lucas Oil this year? Any ASCS stuff? Obviously, GLSS will take you back to Eldora. 305 takes you to Fremont and Attica. Are there any other bucket list stuff that you didn't mention that you're looking forward to trying to get to?
Man, I'd really like to get back to Sealings Grove. I went out there for the Kramer Clash for my buddy's dad's memorial race, and that track was so fast. I was like, man, I'd like to get back to a couple more of those. Maybe even go back out to Knoxville. What we're gonna do is kind of plan out every race. We're going to create a schedule, every race that's going on for the weekend, and, see what logistically makes the most sense, what we can do with our jobs and help. If we don't have any help, obviously we're not going to travel super far, but, and we'll go from there. We'll kind of see what perks our interest and what makes us, excited to get to the track, and also has good weather, obviously.
Right.
It's kind of nice when you go down south in September, October, and it's still nice out when you come home and there's snow on the ground.
Well, we've been talking all night, Kelsey, and kind of like this is it, the end kind of thing, right? The kind of atmosphere. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say, go out and win a race this year. We're going to have you back on Horsepower.
That's what I was going to say.
Before the end of the season.
Will winning a race make it easier or harder?
Harder.
Oh, that's what
it's gonna be harder.
Yeah, somebody said, what if you have just like this crazy breakout year? And I was like, well, maybe I won't have a farewell tour.
Can we fit a car seat in the back of this thing?
Listen, it's not that far-fetched either. You were so close at Tri-City, and then you set the track record at Lima, won your heat race there, had a really good run. I mean, you're right. You and Nate are figuring this thing out. Your car chief. You guys have been really close. I don't think it's far-fetched at all to say that you could crack off a couple of wins this year. And new tire, Kelsey. I mean, that's gonna reset everything. Don't you think?
Reset. Yeah, it'll reset the playing field for sure. Yeah, I feel like we just kind of started to figure it out there at the end when we went to those other tracks. We got third at Swainsboro, and then missed the show at the ASCS with a stout field of cars by one. Kind of got helped on that deal, but. It kind of gave me the excitement. I'm like, all right, like we can go out here and we can race against anybody. We just gotta show up and perform our best, and I know we can do it. So I'm hoping this year for sure we kind of get that monkey off our back with the win. And I was really hoping I'd make it happen at Fort Wayne, but second's nothing to hang your head on. I think if I could get a win this year, though, it would make me feel better about it being my farewell tour.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It takes 9 months to bake a baby, and then a year and a half's all the important stuff. So
we'll talk to you sometime this summer, Kelsey.
Yeah, and then
I feel
we'll
pretty good about this one.
Then we'll see you middle of 2027 when you come back. So
heck yeah, I like it.
Kelsey, appreciate you making time. We could keep talking, but we got to go. So thank you so much for being on the program. Good luck with your party. Again, this is the 28th. Is that
28th of February. Yep.
So
Clyde
February
Eagles.
28th. Advance tickets or tickets at the door? How does this work?
You can do both. We have tickets at the door. We'll have tables for sale as well. If you want to do it beforehand, I have the tickets on hand. And like I said, it'll be live music. There'll be food, dinner will be included, and there's tons of raffle prizes, door prizes, and then that limited edition T-shirt that will be cool.
Awesome.
Best way to reach out to you, Kelsey, if somebody wants to.
I would say Facebook is probably the best. Either the page, our KNI Performance Racing page, Kelsey Ivy Racing, or reach out to me personally, Kelsey Ivy Mange. If you just type in Kelsey Ivy, it'll show up.
That's what I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to refer to you as too. So, all right, Kelsey, appreciate you so much. Thanks so much. Good luck with your party, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, the upcoming calendar straight ahead. This is the Horsepower Happenings podcast.
Mark News is back. Michigan Area Racing Connection News keeps fans in the tri-state area up to date on national headlines, local results, regional news, and so much more. Home of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, 500 Sprintcast, Gridline Social, Job Bank, Fastlane Images, KG Media, and so much more. MarkNews.org is the one stop for any race fan who needs to know what's going on in the Michigan area. Plus, get the Mark News weekly newsletter sent right to your inbox, FREE free. Sign up today and learn more at marknews.org. marknews.org, the Michigan Area Racing Connection.
Welcome back to the Horsepower Happenings podcast. Time to put a bow on things. And Rich, the upcoming calendar, technically blank this week, but it won't be long. We've got Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series going back to Ocala coming up next Monday, I think, is their practice night, and then racing again next week. USAC will be in action very soon. World of Outlaws for Bike Week will be back in action very soon. It won't take very long, and we're less than a month out from the scheduled opener at Attica Raceway Park.
Yep, but coming up, we got a little more fun in a couple of weeks here, Zach. The Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club Bowling Tournament.
Oh, that's right.
We forgot to announce that. I believe we're going to be there again.
We are. Yes,
broadcasting all afternoon, but you can go to the Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club Facebook page, get all the information. Tells you, I think it's 3 games, $18, and
9-pin no tap, which is great.
9-pin no tap. Yeah, that means if you just can only get 9-pin, this is the game for you.
Yes,
because you don't actually have to bowl a real strike.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
And then they got all kind. They got all kind of. It's a great fundraiser for the Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club and the Randall Ginter Memorial Fund, as well, that helps drivers that get injured or hurt or other things throughout the year. So
yeah, 2 families going to be supported this year. So that's very cool.
That's a great thing. So no, go on there, get all the information, and reach out and reserve yourself a spot.
Well, that'll be Saturday, March 7th. We will be there. Special edition of the Horsepower Happenings podcast live from the bowling tournament. Want to say thank you to Davey Hamilton Jr. for being on the program tonight. Kelsey Ivy, of course, Gary Lindahl with Gary Did You Know. For Noah Longyear, our producer, Rich France, my co-host, I'm Zach Heiser. Thanking you all so much for tuning in to another episode of the Horsepower Happenings podcast.
You've been listening to Horsepower Happenings. The views and opinions expressed in tonight's show may not directly reflect that of Horsepower Happenings. The contents of this program may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or disseminated without the express written consent of Horsepower Happenings. Follow Horsepower Happenings on Facebook, Instagram, X, and all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, and Pandora, to keep up on what's happening.